folks, welcome back for another episode of Our Journeys, and we're starting off with Boethia, who is somebody we have not actually seen in quite some time. And this is an event, no, this is an arena, which is why you are seeing Whispering Claw Strike as a prophecy against Captain Canuck. Canucka? Canuck 4? It's almost like the game. There's a game called Connect 4, so it's like Canuck 4. I'm not sure if that's what that is, or if it's supposed to be Canucka or just Canuck 4, because I believe Canuck is a... I don't know if it's a term of endearment, but it's a term used for our northern friends here in America. Our northern friends in Canada, I believe, are called Canucks. I haven't looked up the etymology of that yet. I'm pretty sure that is a term that they embrace. It's not something that they would find preposterous or something like. It's not like calling them a name or anything. It's just Canucks. All right, so Captain Canuck getting a nice bit of ramp there from his runner, I believe. Is he a runner? Or is he what? I can't remember what he is. Determined supplier. He's a determined supplier. Hey, Boethia! Hello. Good to be back. Thank you for the warm welcome. Good to see you playing. We had a good time at Live at 5 this past Friday.
Welcome, child.
Actually got to view a game with Daryloth. I can never remember if I'm saying that correctly. And holy cow, Boethia has drafted a lot of well, I don't know about a lot of. Well, yeah, I would say there's a goodly sum of prophecies. So we got Cleric of Kine. We had the swipey swipe. I can't even remember what it's called, but the action that you never really see these days. Wild Beast Collar, nice. Yeah, this is a lot of fun here. But Boethia hadn't spectated in a while, so I don't know if it's I'm back or if Boethia we're just seeing you play for the first time in a while. I mean, I've been back for a little while to a certain extent, but obviously. I joke when I am actually gone, when I was away and I first came back, I would joke and be like, holy cow, man, I haven't seen you so long. What happened to you? It's like, we've been here. You just left or you just kind of disappeared for a few weeks or months or however long it was. But looking pretty good, even though his health total is 10 less than Captain Canuck. His card, his draw, and we're seeing the hulking scowl in there. And so this card...
We'll have to
pool, his hand is grander than Captain Canuck. He does still have 3 runes, and he's got some drain on the board, so that... Now granted, he's going to have to give Canuck some cards in order to get something from... Okay. It's always a tough thing.
Nicely done.
I can make a point comeback, but then I give my opponent cards, which could ultimately lead to my demise. We've seen it happen many times. You've seen it happen to me. We've seen it happen to other players as well. Players that are far more skilled than I. They're patient, and then they're like, okay, screw it. I'm going to give them cards because I'm going to push for lethal. I'll be able to do it next turn. And then somehow, because I have a fistful of cards, the opponent is able to turn the thing around. But as you see, Boethia is now creeping up. Just about tied with Canuck in terms of health.
So much work yet to do.
And that is a beefy critter. Fortunately, Boethia has Sanctuary Raid, which is going to... Now, I don't know why Captain Canuck is feeling the need to emote as much. I guess... I mean, I'm a talkative person, but to me, an emote is grossly inadequate, and that really probably was not what Captain Canuck expected. And he is going, pushing the advantage that he now has. Captain now does have some more cards to answer, but he's got 10 points of damage to stem from that field lane. And right now, there's nothing that... Well, now, Boethia, we see he has that Manticora. So he's going to be able to get rid of the Knight, who is barring those 3 points of damage, if he so chooses. Might have a better target coming down here in the field lane. It is. What do you think it is? Oh my goodness, I can't tell. I'm so excited. Okay, yeah, not really worried about that guy. Again, I let nothing get by, but he's on a guard. I have a feeling he's a man in need of a mission.
I have the marsh in my veins.
Okay, so that's a good offensive card over the course of time, and it would have worked well with the determined supplier, but all of that is kind of gone now. And now Manticora, not a legendary, but a damn fine epic. Ooh, prophecy, okay. And you notice now Boethia is not saying nicely done because he doesn't need to. Don't say anything, Boethia. Okay, Grave Grasp. Not the worst, but certainly is going to delay. Again, Hulking Scallon online next turn. It was online this turn as well, but obviously there was some other cards he could play, and he's got. Okay, no. Canuck is going to have an Ice Storm or something of that kind. I'm 4-1 at this event, so I think I'm going to do nice this run. Awesome, Boethia. Good to hear. You know what? We might stick with Boethia then. It's something we haven't done usually. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly. I think we will. It's been a while since I've done. Well, this is not a spotlight, but it's been a while since I've just kind of stuck with somebody. Usually we vary it up. But he's doing an arena run, just doing pretty well. Let's see if we can finish this out. So I think this episode will be a Boethia centric deck, and that is a problem without removal. But that Hulking Scallon, really, again, Canuck's gonna have to top deck a heck of an answer, even with that little bit of drain. That 4 points of drain, that is not enough to stop the mighty 10-10 Hulking Scallon. That'll do it. No, it can't be shackled. Haha, cannot be shackled. No, he didn't know that. He didn't know it can't be shackled. That's one of its gifts. One of his many, many gifts.
Nicely done.
He's very Kendalled, but he has other gifts.
Formidable display.
That's the first time I've ever seen Hulking Scallon's gift be used. Like, he top decked the answer. Like, okay, this is the best stall. And it did not pan out for him. So we'll give GG a good game. Boethia a good game. GG. I think I will. We'll watch your progress with interest. Also, don't think he knew about Scallon's many talents, including being unshackleable. Seriously, like, I remember when that card was introduced, I was like, oh, that's such a crazy cool, power. We're going to see a lot of them. And not only do you really, aside from, I think there was one, oh, you know what, let me turn that down. Oh, goodness gracious, that's peaking really bad. Justin Larson playing the Scallon a few times, like when it was first introduced. Turn that down just a little bit more. Aside from that, you never really got to see Hulking Scallon doing anything, let alone get to see his, that flavor text or that his special attributes being put to use. So that's exciting. And we got to see it from the right side of the board. It sucks if you see it from the other side, but tier 10 card in Arena. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I say that knowing that I don't know a whole lot about cards. but I can understand why he would be. My goodness gracious. Sorry, folks. I can hear the peaking in the headphones, and I don't like it. I don't like it. So you have to forgive me that we're going to lose a little bit of the audio for a moment here while I make some adjustments. My voice is just too beefy. That's just all there is to it. So just a quick tip for those. I'm guessing Guitarist on Bass knows this because we had a good conversation in general on Live at 5 about the Dune series, but then also talking about aperture and focus and depth of field and all that good stuff. But just so you know, for anybody wants to be streaming out there, ideally you can always bump up the volume, like if on your mic. But what you can't do is fix peaking. Like even AI, I've run it through at least not Premiere's, but Adobe's sound fix still can't fix peaking. Once your audio craps out or goes above the meter. When you look at it, it looks like a plateau. So if you ever see, you see like the lines of a waveform. If you ever see it looks like it plateaus, that means the audio got clipped and probably pretty bad. And you can't fix that. It comes off as a distortion. You might have heard some in this particular video because I cranked the music audio because when I edit, I can balance, I can mix the game audio and my audio, so it doesn't have to be recorded the right way. It's not like a stream where I don't know what the mix is like until I go back and watch the stream or somebody tells me. But ideally, you want to have your volume err on the side of low because you can usually bump it up without introducing too much noise and gain into it. But you can't fix those peaks, and those can be distracting, especially if you know to look for them. So I do apologize if now I've awakened anybody to the understanding. And this is our second. Sorry for that little bit. That was just a little bit for Egg and anybody who's doing recording or even streaming, those kinds of things. If you're in the around the negative 12 decibel area, that's if you're peaking there, that's about where you want to be. You can get a little bit higher. -3, you're starting to get a little iffy.
All right, men.
I do have a noise gate on this. At least I think I do.
I live awaiting your command. This one can be counted upon. Nothing will stop
I do have a limiter. Okay. But, as you heard, sometimes limiter does not work.
I do not.
Or does not work as well as you'd like it to. Especially if you really overpower it. Anyway, focusing on the game at hand here. Second time we're seeing... Tribunal. Tribunal. Second Tribunal in a row. And the determined supplier as well. So a lot of... Seems like the drafting for this particular arena kind of skewed in a specific direction. And unfortunately, this looks like it could be a tough one for Boethia. But as we saw in the last game, we're down to 18 health. Opponents seem to have the advantage, but it's the same kind of thing, same situation.
Nicely done.
We are seeing some danger, in a manner of speaking. Not a lot of answers right there. We have Sanctuary Raid, but you got to have a board, at least in theory, to be able to do that. All right, so yeah, thinking better of it. More creatures. And it is going to allow that Sanctuary Raid on Tullius next turn, which I think is Boethia's strategy.
Azura, give me strength.
See, now, and let this be a note. Granted, Boethia is in a bit of a tight spot. He's facing 8 damage right now. He's going to be at 11 health, provided Truma does not have any other cards that'll do damage to face. But he's at least besieging Azura while he's got enough points on the board. He's not out of the running. Most people go after Azura or the 3 bears or the 4 bears. That's who it is. The 4 bears, the Azura, whoever. They pursue their deity of choice at the last minute. And I think either the deity just doesn't have the time to stop in and be like, oh, what's going on? It's like, I've got a schedule. I've got things to do. If you had addressed me a little bit sooner, maybe I could have lent you a hand. But now you've already drawn your cards, so I can't mess up anything there. Your opponent's already got their cards, and you're on your last leg. What do you expect me to do? Like, it's kind of mean to be like, oh, Azura, help me. And she's like, what do you want me to do, dude? So Boethia is at least making his supplication early enough in the game that if a divine being wanted to, was so inclined to be of help, they could be. Alright, we're hoping those cards do not get outright removed. That's not the worst. I mean, it does give Truma another card. That's not good either. Okay, so yeah, Truma is able to keep filling his hand. So this might be the end with you. Now, okay, I thought Territorial Viper might end up have been the play, but just holding on to that. Hopefully Truma gets... Yeah. Ooh, Monk Strike. That's not bad. But he's going to need at least another turn to play it. Okay, and she goes down. Alright, so no more creatures introduced to the board, so that's good-ish.
My sword is yours.
That's still a good chunk of damage. So Viper... oof, that's expensive. Nice. 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 Okay. Good heads up play there. Nice use of the Viper, getting that drain immediately, using that charge, and taking away 3 points of damage, draining for 4 is a nice swing. Left with no board, not the worst. We're not seeing the big bodies that usually can wreck the game in a constructed deck, but that's still 7 points. Bardigar, great card. Manacora, even better. But Wild Beast Caller, not a bad card either. So I guess he can go into Bearded Gar, depending. And, oh, never mind. Wow. So we could see... Ooh, is he going to drop Bardigar first, maybe? No?
Hold your positions.
Oh, Bardigar can give one of them. Oh, never mind. Okay, so he doesn't... He whiffed, so that sucks. But there we go. And he's got some cards right here. If Truma hadn't got the Revealing the Unseen and the Spirit Knife, he'd definitely be out of gas at this point, which would be much better for Boethia. But I think Revealing the Unseen, I have to look at the text again because I never play that card. I think it's action cards that you pull, or maybe I'm thinking of that support. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of that. There's a support that. This will be a tough one. Yeah, Boethia, absolutely. Yeah, which, hey, it'll make it all the more rewarding to see it happen, or we can commiserate. Well, clearly it might, because we're seeing trade. Ooh, okay, that's why I did the trading. And very fortunate there. Very fortunate. That was a great. That was the worst case scenario for Truma, for sure. Oh, that's not good. What is he pulling back? It's going to be damage to face. Yeah, Tullius. So the good thing is Manticora. So I think we're going to see, because he can make the trades, I think we're going to see Fresh Start or Scallon. Never mind. All right, so that does give him the Tullius to play, and he can play it in the next lane. That's a bit of the danger. But he wanted to get those guards down. No real charge. No, like, you have to worry about lightning bolts and Kano. But I mean, this is not constructed, so probably neither of those really.
Nobody breaks the law.
And we know
the illusion made.
Tullius is going to become huge.
Nicely done.
Okay, that's a pretty smart heads-up play, and that could be the game. Alright, so he's up to swell, but Tullius is just getting bigger and bigger. Not big enough to kill just yet, but that's 9 points of damage. And if Tullius is going to get big enough that he's going to be able to he's going to trade with Manacora without having to die. Oh no! Looks like Truma has the answer, unfortunately.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
He's got something for Manacora. No? And that's the second time we've seen that card. Really, it's a very bizarre... So yeah, he could have buffed him up if he had made the trades. But granted, I mean, he's still in a really good position now. That's going to become a 2-4 this next turn after he draws. Ooh, boy. Okay. That is a timely guard, and then Markman and the other card in the shadow lane, I'm guessing, to try to prevent that 2 damage. No! He's going to keep it there. Well, actually, yeah, that's very wise, because he has 3 damage definitely coming in. Oh, and I guess I thought it got bigger after every Magician. When your Magicka, Max Magicka increases, your Max Magicka, not just your Magicka. So that's... Oh, really? Oh my gosh, that's a heartbreaker. He had it. He was doing really good. He just can't. As his opponent, unfortunately, just kept drawing draw cards. This episode is sponsored in small part by Legendary Remnant Discord. It is a Discord for the Legendary Remnant of Legends. And so you can come there, and really most of the action that I see now is custom card creation. That's still going strong. People are coming up with card ideas, putting them forward, getting feedback, getting praise, criticism, critique, what have you. It's all in fun. I haven't seen anything really that would be, there's no like, oh, that's the dumbest thing ever. We do have some folks that are a little more upfront about their opinions than others, but it's a good place to just put things together. And if you put together a good card or a funny card, you definitely get the accolade for that, which is why you're seeing stuff like what I'm going to show you, the true sponsor of today's video, which is Brazen Khajiit. It's a 2-cost willpower card. Khajiit, as it says, typical colors. Khajiits typically come in agility and willpower. And this one looks pretty snazzy. That's kind of what caught my eyes. I was kind of scrolling through. I just saw the card art. I was like, okay, that actually looks like something pretty much out of TESL, at least one version of TESL's cards. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but aside from like Thundercats, I think Skyrim or Legends or Elder Scrolls is really the only franchise that features sentient cats, so I think the odds of this being an image that's at least intended for the Skyrim universe or the Elder Scrolls universe is pretty high. But if there's anybody out there who knows of another franchise, again, other than Thundercats, where you would have, and even Thundercats, they're like a human animal hybrid. So this one, and this is clearly a kitty who's just up on his back legs and has human-like legs, but his face is very cat-like. Anyway, regardless, it's really cool card art, and TESL, you kind of have two different styles of art for the most part. You have a little bit more vibrant and slightly more kind of cartoonish, and then you have your realistic, and within realistic you have your two versions, which is obviously hand-drawn but realistic, or almost like painted, and then you have ones, there's a few, but like your Supreme Atronac, or your Supreme Atromancer, who it looks like an image that has been manipulated. It's an image of a person that has been well manipulated, like everything looks legit, but you can tell, or it seems to be at least, that person is like an actual photo, like a stock photo that has been dressed up and altered. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe there's fantastic artists that are actually just creating these very, very realistic looking people, but I feel like there was a model that they're based off. Anyway, this would fall into that first category in terms of the art. I don't know why I make it such a big deal of the art. It's just very vibrant. It caught my attention. And anyway, and I was actually thinking, so this is actually kind of cool. Check out the thing that this thing does. So it's a 2/2. So it's just like and it's 2/2 for 2. So it doesn't have the prophecy, but it's very much like your Daring Cut Purse. Pilfer +1 and 0. So now more like the bully guy, the 3/2 that only gains power every turn, doesn't gain health. You don't see him a whole lot. He's like the enforcer or the basher or something. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he's not used as much because, one, he's not a prophecy, and two, you really need to get that extra power or the extra health along with the power. Otherwise, no matter how big you get, a 2-cost creature is going to be able to trade with it. So it makes it a little bit more of a risky proposition. Most of the big ones that you see used are doing +1/+1 or +2/+2. You're not seeing just a power increase. Those you don't get as much love. So that's what I thought when I saw this. I saw Pilfer +1/0. I'm like, probably still wouldn't see any play. But here's the thing, folks. When a friendly creature's power is increased, you gain 1 health. So you can combine this with item decks. You can combine this with, even with willpower. You got your Divine Fervors. Anytime the power is increased, you gain 1 health. Now, it doesn't say it increases per health. So it's not, you throw down a Dawnbreaker, you're not going to gain 4 health off of that. You'll gain 1. It's just every time it is. So you'd probably want to do an item deck. You'd probably want to do something. But again, all that's doing really functionally, well, it's giving it longevity, really. And imagine if you were to do, well, now it says when a friendly creature, so you can't throw a cloak onto your Brazen Khajiit, give him +2 to health, and then get him bumped up to 1. You'd have to put that on somebody else, and that'll just give him +1. So it's still better to throw the cloak on him, but if you want to throw the dagger on somebody else, then you can buff him up as well. And he's getting that +1 Pilfer. So this is a good example of a card I think that is, its efficacy it fits in. It's not something where you go, wow, I see a lot of snowball potential, but it's also not something where you go, this is unplayable. It actually, for a 2/2 for 2 that can snowball gradually, it's not bad. And for a card like this, I don't know the difference between like a common and a rare, like what that distinction is. There's sometimes where you see something, you go, okay, that's got to be a legendary or a unique legendary, or that's a really epic thing. This, I think it works as a rare, but I could also see it functioning as a common. I don't know that because the Cut Purse is a common, and that's a 2/2 that gains +2/+2 with prophecy. So I'm not sure what the official rule is. Yum Yum. Oh, sorry, and I totally forgot. I apologize. This is brought to you from the brilliant mind of Yum Yum 36. So sorry about that, Yum Yum. I'll put that. Well, no, I can't. Yeah, I think I'll put that in the text. So you will have all seen the text using my editing magic. You'll have seen that this is the card that Yum Yum is the author of this. But yeah, so Yum Yum. Yeah, so if you happen to see this, Yum Yum, and want to let me know why you chose it to be a common. Obviously I think common the icon. I think the blue looks great on a card. I think it pops more so than just the boring little clear. It might be a diamond, but I don't think so. It's just a little clear opal type thing. But like functionally, I'm always curious when it comes down to the difference between a common and a rare. What is the distinction there? Obviously, we know it costs more to create, but what enables that card? What gives that card that extra oomph that makes it just not quite as common? When you have a card like Daring Cutpurse that is a common, even though it has some pretty good properties to it. But anyway, I think it's a great inclusion. And like I said, as I saw that +1 and 0, I'm like, okay, this card won't get played because it's less than the Brawler. I think that's actually his name. It's not even quite as good as the Brawler in that regard. But then you see that it would synergize with pretty much any card that is anything that will buff a creature. So in theory, this is kind of like the Orc. The 1/5 orc that gains power every time another creature on the board gains power, it gains that much power. It's kind of like that. Obviously, it's not scaling. It's not gaining 5 just because your friendly unit got 5. It's giving you 1 if your friendly unit gets 5. But it is if you have an entire lane of, let's say, grunts and they all get, and you Divine Fervor, that's +4 for your Brazen Khajiit, because it's each unit got +1 to its power. So it's one of those ones where you can find different ways to synergize, or your Thieves' Den. So every time, which synergizes very well with your Pilfer. So it's going to pilfer for 1. And as every other creature pilfers, obviously they gain and it gains and so on and so forth. So its life, I don't think its health is not going to be as much of an issue. And it's going to be, just like Cutpurse, it's just going to be a gradual burn. So it's not OP in any way, shape, or form. It might actually be even a little bit less, but you wouldn't want to knock this down to a 1 cost. It's way too strong for that. And I don't think it would work as a 3. So I think it's probably well statted, well costed. Because again, you're not necessarily worried about too much about the power creep getting out of hand, but it is going to start making them robust, especially if you have a deck that is geared towards buffing your creatures. So another one that's good, I think, again, for a token deck, probably benefits from that quite a bit. So anyway, Yum, thank you very much for the contribution to the fantasy meta that we have, wishing that TESL could get a second wind. And thank you all for taking a gander, and now let's get you back to those games. He's now 4-2, I believe, or 5-2. So this next game could end his streak, and if that's the case, then we'll switch over for the remainder of the video. But Drunken Glock, welcome to the flock, also known as a legendary remnant, but that doesn't rhyme, and that particular phrasing did, so I stand by it. And here we go. But I've said it before, there are times, and I've experienced this so much as a player, where
games begin.
I really, really don't like what's going on with the audio right now. Where you're able to, you feel like you're on life support almost the entire game. Like you're there, you're doing your thing, but you're not. Yeah, you're not. The game is not going to let you back in. So we had that first game where it was the first game we watched where it seemed like he was in the mix. He was able to make some trades. He was having good turns. His opponent was starting to lose momentum as he was gaining some. So it was still close, but you started to see, even before he actually kind of made that comeback and got up to the same health total or thereabouts, that it was kind of anybody's game. With that last one, it just felt like no matter what, his opponent was just going to keep drawing what he needed to continue to make that push, and we saw it. That's how it turned out. And it's no shade against the opponent. It's no shade against the game. I mean, that's just how luck works. But it is that. You can only do so much with what you have. And certainly you could argue, like there was the one turn where it's like, oh, I thought maybe he would play this card versus that card. The road not taken, as it were. Which, as a fun fact, the author of that, I can't remember his name now, but the road less traveled by, but I took the road less traveled by, and that made all the difference. That poem was actually a joke. The guy who wrote it was a joke because he was friends with another poet or another writer, and I can't remember what the context of it was, but he was essentially poking fun at him, and so he decided to write this poem kind of about that. It wasn't meant to be some like super serious thing where it's like, oh, I took the road less traveled by. It was more about, I think it wasn't procrastination, but it was something like that where the guy was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And it's like, I'm sure whatever I choose is going to be not as good as what I didn't choose, or something along those lines. Again, I'm kind of butchering the story a little bit, but the idea, it's funny where by we, I mean, society, but also like English teachers, and not all of them. And certainly there's plenty of stories out there that are supposed to be profound or supposed to be very, somber. In fact, one of my favorite lines in poetry is it's one that really hits home, and I shouldn't say it hits home yet, but I could see it hitting home for a lot of people. And I'm trying to remember which story it's from, actually, because I know the line, but the story.
Shall we put in a dishonest day's work?
It was I believe it was a king or a nobleman who fell in love with it was a nobleman. I wasn't a king, but a nobleman who fell in love with a common girl. She was like a farmer's daughter or something like that. And he envied her because she didn't have all the responsibilities and all the, you got to put on a show, you got to do all this thing, the things that people who don't necessarily, obviously I'm not saying that being poor is better than having money, but I think a lot of the times we don't necessarily, and I say we because I'm not necessarily anywhere near wealthy, we don't understand that there are setbacks, there are drawbacks to that life and those things. So, and money doesn't solve all your problems. So money is a huge problem that a lot of us have, but they don't have. But then there's the politics and the justice. Anyway, this nobleman, he goes through in this poem and he talks about all these things that, it must be great for her. And he's like, I would like to, and I don't remember why he doesn't pursue anything with her, but he pretty much says just it couldn't happen. I think because of what goes on in the political world or whatever. And she is looking at him going, wow, that must be nice to never have to work and just have all this money and everything. And it wasn't shallow or superficial necessarily, but she was just, again, like all of us would, the grass is always greener. But she just figures it wouldn't work out. And I don't recall all the details, but bottom line is they never got together. But the author makes it very clear that they both loved each other, or they both really liked each other. I don't remember how much interaction they had. I just remember each one pining after the other's life, but neither one being willing for whatever reason to try to pursue that. And the final line is, of all sad words of tongue or pen, the saddest of these, it might have been. What might have been. Or it might have been. I said I knew the line, but I don't exactly know the line. I think it is for all sad words of tongue and pen. But I don't think he repeats himself. So I don't think it's sad words. Of all something words of tongue and pen, the saddest of these it might have been. Anyway, you get the gist. The idea being there's probably nothing sadder than the idea of knowing or thinking about what might have been had we made different decisions in life. And I can happily say that the two or three things that make me cringe when I think about like mistakes that I've made weren't devastating. I think when I think about the people who were involved, I do cringe. I wince. It's not for myself more so. It was more so for them, because it was like, man, if I just had a better understanding of how things work in the world, I would have made a different choice. And I put him in as one of the memories that I have, I put him in a real tough spot by what I did. And I screwed myself over. I screwed myself out of a great job with really great people who went out of their way to, it was just, I can't think about it. It hurts. It probably is, off the top of my head, one of the worst, one of the cringiest memories I have. And I don't use that word as in the colloquial thing, because I feel like that word just gets overused so much. Oh, that's so cringe. Again, using an action. Well, no, that's using an action as a noun, whereas the trend is to use a noun as an action. So like I'm TESLing right now. Well, TESL's a game. It's not an action, but I'm not TESLing. I'm spectating, which is actually a proper verb. Anyway, I don't know. I'm way off track here. I'm just happy we're seeing Boethia. This is the first game we've seen when we started out. The Boethia is really just holding down the fort. It is also the first time that the opponent has also been able to have cards this late in the game. But Boethia is, and Manticora, boy, I tell you, for a 75 card deck. Although in Arena, is it 75 cards? Well, this is going to tell me how many are dead. It doesn't tell me how many he has. I wonder why that is. Maybe one of you know, like, can you click on something and see how many cards are? You can do it on your opponent, right? No, you can't. How do people know how many cards their opponent has? Some people are like, oh, look, they've got a whatever card deck. Because it'll tell them how many are left. I don't know. Oh, wait. Is it here? Here? No. Maybe you have to be the player in order to see it. I'm just clicking on stuff. Oh! Do you see that? Oh, you might have missed it. Oh, it's funny. So, like, I was just clicking on a bunch of stuff, and you can see I move my mouse down onto the end turn button, and I'm just clicking to click, and it changed because the turn changed, but it happened right as I put the mouse on it. So I was like, oh crap! Did I somehow just interfere in the game with my divine spectating powers? And the answer, of course, is no. But it still was a trippy thing to behold. But anyway, the point being, that is probably, whether you're in the middle of life or you're at the end of life, there are situations, or just the idea in general of thinking about what might have been. And so I try to live my life where I don't have regrets. You know, if it means I get rejected, I get rejected. But I would rather be rejected and go, okay, there was nothing there, than to be sitting, 20 years later and going, what if I had just made a move? And I don't mean make a move like in a bad way. I mean, like, what if I had just gone for it? What if I had just tried? There was like 1 or 2 auditions that during school that I didn't go for out of a fear of rejection or anticipation of rejection. And I regretted those briefly, but that passed within a couple of years of it happening. So I remember the regret, but I remember it mainly because it prompted me to, the next time there was an audition, and knowing that I didn't want to be just sitting in the audience, like I wanted to at least try to be a part of it, and I did. And it wasn't the greatest experience in the world, but I knew it felt better than missing out. And same thing, there have been times where I've just...
Azura, give me strength.
Oh, you're good, Boethe. You don't need no Azura.
Tamriel needs me.
Maybe either I win next turn or I concede. Really? Oh, well.
Yes.
I can kind of see that. Don't concede, though, man. You're not... If he had Drain on the board, then I could see it, but...
I have your scent, and soon I'll have your
Ooh. This is going to shackle us free. No! No. You're good until Drain hits. Because you've got more than enough... You've got more than enough power to... Or enough health to survive their board. So that's 5... Territorial Viper could take out... well, maybe I don't want to do that. What does Outflank do again? Give a friendly creature in each lane 0+2 and guard. Alright, well that's not horrible. Not particularly helpful. Making the trades. Okay. Alright, so right now Russian Hustle is going to have to sacrifice his lane. But at this point I would think you'd want to take a little bit of damage, right? Get a Rune Break or 2 just to start getting some more cards. Is he going to give him the Rune Break? He is. Alright, so 1 rune, 9 health to go, and unless Russian Hustle can come up with some drain in the next 2 turns, I think Boethius still is going to be able to come away with this.
Some thieves have manners.
Okay, well, that was kind of a... Yeah.
Azura, give me strength.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a time... Well, no, we did. I think we just talked about it. Azura gave him... No. I can't remember if Azura was the first game or the second game. Might have been the second game. If it's the second game, then I think we can say Azura is a very unreliable deity. I would never bank on Azura giving you strength, is my point. Yeah, buddy, you do. You really do. And hey, Scallon has not been shy so far, so I think you could see it coming. But right now, oh, that's a nice one though. That's a nice one. Okay, hey, That's all right. That's a little bit. All right, so Azura is now, or the game is now making it seem like Azura is trying to be helpful, but I don't know. We'll see if he gets the win off of this, then we can say. And there's the drain that we did not want to see. And there's more healing. So yeah, this is kind of it. Now we're in the danger zone. Not necessarily of immediately losing, but of, you know, oh, would that have 5, 6, 7? I mean, even without that drain, would not have had the win, but would have been very close.
By our service, we honor kind.
It's gonna be 3, 4, yeah. Wants that kitty to get done. Luckily, that does not bequeath drain onto the other creature. So Boethia is gonna have. It's gonna take at least. Oh no! Gosh darn it!
This one will be
Luckily, if he doesn't have a lane change, that cat can't do anything. Can't drain. Okay, good. He's giving him a card. That's good. Well, I mean, maybe not so much. So yeah, Boethia probably had the right idea, or at least saw the trouble coming. I didn't expect to see this many drain creatures, but yeah, he's pretty much dead. Yeah, it's his. That's a Hail Mary, but you don't have any cards to play after that.
Strength.
Sanctuary Raid? That's 10, 13. No. Even with Sanctuary Raid, he's still dead. Barring a prophecy, we've seen prophecies. We've seen hitting prophecies. Unfortunately, one of them is Whispering Claw. And yeah. Oh, is he going to stave off? Well, that's 13, 15. Okay, so he's still alive. No board, but he is still alive and hoping for a prophecy at this point. I mean, Russian Hustle with these colors could very well have a charge creature. And, oh, man. If the cards had just been a little bit different. Oh, there's the Scallon. It showed up, but you're a little late to the party, pal. That's a bummer.
If I can't steal it, it can't be stolen.
Yeah.
We'll drive them from our land.
Well, Shadowmere can do 5. Good call, Boethia. Well done. Lays down his arms. Yeah.
Sail through storms,
Yeah.
does it again.
That Savage Ogre was savage. His name. Was that the third L? If it is, then it will be the end of the video. If it's not, then perhaps we shall... Well, we'll keep watching until the run is over, but I think he's opening loot now, so I think that was the third loss. That is the end of the run. And so there we have it. So a nice run by Boethia, but kind of mirroring my own experience and probably some of yours. You come in on fire, 4-1, and then you go down 2 games. That's kind of been more or less my experience. Usually, if my luck, I'm usually at about a 3 win, and then I get my third loss. But a decent run, had the potential, and aside from one, it felt like they were winnable. But like that one game still feels like it just wasn't going to happen. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Boethia, thank you so much for playing. Yeah, it's a bitch in Arena, that's for sure. Especially if you don't have it. So anyway, thank you, Boethia, for showing us the good games. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure. And thank you all for watching. And until next time, keep playing.